I've lived in the Pasadena area since I was 6 years old. We moved from South Central Los Angeles to here in 1966. My father became an Pasadena sheriff, and that's why we relocated. The people who had a meaningful impact in my life, the mentors became the mentors in my life. Many of them are still around today, were from the church I was attending when I was a child. So from the age of 17 until now, I've always been involved in the work of youth empowerment, youth engagement, youth development. And I'm always paying it forward because of what these men did for me. I met Chip and Bruce in junior high school, at McKinley Junior High School. We all attended this school, Blair High School, together. And I just find it amazing that throughout our lives, we've always been advocates for youth and engaged in youth in some way or another. And now we're all at the same place doing this work. So Bruce has a tremendous sense of humor that will just keep you laughing. And I needed laughter in my life. And so that's one of the gifts that I appreciate about Bruce. Chip always looked like a model. And he was just the nicest, coolest guy to hang around. And for me, as a person that didn't think that much of himself, to be around these brothers, even though I didn't articulate this all the time, just to be with them, it made my time away from home really sweet. And I ended up at Stars. And so I thought the things that I thought brought me shame and took my value away from me in terms of coming through abuse and molestation and some of these other pieces were the very things that opened doors for me to have a conversation in the lives of students. I always say that when I share my story, it's my best and worst day. It's my best day because there's so much trust that the students have invested in trusting me once I found that my vulnerability opens up doors for others to be vulnerable as well. These men found me and loved me when I was falling through the cracks. And I can't stop paying that forward. They were amazing when I knew them when I was younger. They're still amazing now.
I'm Chip Williams, and I am a newly hired Director of Mentoring Initiatives for STARS. I'm going to be supporting the mentor coaches, mentors, and mentees, and looking for opportunities to expand our program further into the San Gabriel Valley. I remember Eric being just this sort of bright energy. He was always friendly, always uplifting, and fun to be around. Eric speaks very eloquently about paying it forward because of the people in his life who embraced him. They saw him where he was, and they held him and saved him from falling through what he described as the cracks, right? My grandfather, my father's father, was very different from my father. He was a tinkerer, he worked with his hands, and he kept me by his side, and I learned a lot of things from him. Those kinds of relationships where an older person keeps you by their side, wants you to be a part of their life, and includes you, that's nourishment for the soul. I think it's priceless. So being present for young people builds community, and that's how traditions are passed on. That's how love of humanity and the value, like just our humane values, are engendered in others. That I took time to be with you because you're worthwhile. You're worth my time. And I think that's a gift.
I'm Bruce Banks. I work as a volunteer at the STARS program in the Food Distribution Center, packing those bags for families that were really impacted by the virus. I got in there because of Eric Johnson, who somehow has my number no matter where I go and can get a hold of me. First lived in Altadena. I moved over to Salito Road in 1971, and that was right around the corner from Arroyo, where Chip grew up. After that, going to McKinley, that's where I met Eric. So we somehow found the way to be there. After McKinley, we all ended up at Blair High School. We had a lot of teachers that had faith in students. I think that's what made Blair so unique. I have been a substance abuse counselor. I have worked with homeless, mentally ill. I have worked and developed dual diagnosis programs. In forensic psychology, what you're trained to do is answer a specific question, a question provided by the court. And putting together a report that'll go to an immigration judge or an immigration official and maybe change that family's life by letting that one person stay here. The puzzle was coming together. Here were people predominantly in communities that were not originally here, and understanding that, yeah, I know about their hunger. I've had to discuss that with them in the office and all these other issues going on. So yeah, if I can pack a bag of vegetables and meat and that, I know at least for one more night, they'll be a family. Growing up here in Pasadena has been the greatest opportunity. I have met people that I look up to. I don't know what my life would be like without Chip and Eric in it. I don't want to experience life without them, really.
We were born at a time and raised at a time where social justice and social change were really moving, and I think our world as children was full of hope. And I think that working with them in this environment, working with youth, with these friends, hopefully we will be able to instill in young people today some of the fire, some of the hope that we grew up with.